I would like to reconvene the meeting from closed session and call this meeting to order for the City Council meeting of November 16th, 2021. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll? And make the announcement also. Okay.
In order to participate in the City Council meeting virtually, please register to speak using the link on the agenda under the public comment or call 1-669-900-9128 and use webinar code ID 81060510440. To raise your hand to speak on a particular agenda item, please use the raise hand button in the Zoom meeting portal. If you're using a phone, please press star 9 on your telephone keypad to raise your hand to speak, and then press star 6 to unmute your phone. When it is your time to speak, your microphone will be unmuted for the time allotted by the mayor and will be muted upon completion of your comments. And I'll give the roll call now at this moment. Councilmember Cordero.
Here.
Councilmember Escobedo. Councilmember Soto. Councilmember Waterfield. Present. Madam Mayor Patino.
Here. City Attorney, Mr. Watson, would you please give the closed session report?
Yes, Madam Mayor. During the closed session, there were discussion between the agency representative and the council, and instructions were provided to the agency representative. No further report is new.
Thank you. The first item this evening is a proclamation, and I will be making that presentation. Whereas the City of Santa Maria has long recognized the importance of honoring the Santa Maria Valley veterans who have made the ultimate sacrifice in times of conflict and has envisioned the community never forgets the irreplaceable cost of the freedom it enjoys. And whereas on December 7th, 2001, the City of Santa Maria partnered with the Santa Maria Valley Chamber of Commerce to dedicate the Freedom Monument Veterans Memorial in honor of the Santa Maria Valley's fallen and all the veterans who have served. And whereas each year the Freedom Monument Veterans Memorial has been updated with the names of 113 fallen Santa Maria Valley veterans from World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, women's veterans, veteran groups, the Order of the Purple Heart, POW MIA, Vandenberg Air Force Base, Cold War veterans, and the War on Terrorism. And whereas the City of Santa Maria and the Santa Maria Valley Chamber of Commerce reaffirm their partnership and commitment in maintaining the Freedom Monument Veterans Memorial and preserving the important role it plays in the history and the heritage of the community. Now, therefore, I, Alice M. Patino, Mayor of the City of Santa Maria, hereby recognize December 7th, 2021 as the 20th anniversary of the Freedom Monument Veterans Memorial in the City of Santa Maria and affirm the important role it plays in the history and heritage of the community. In witness thereof, I here to have set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Santa Maria to be affixed this 16th day of November 2021. And here to receive this is Bob Hatch and Dave Cross and Glenn Morris.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. So when you look at the Freedom Monument Veterans Memorial and look at what it represents and what it has become over 20 years, the question is, could it have been conceived, built, and maintained without the partnership between the city and the Chamber of Commerce? And there's no way. This is a sacred and distinguished place that benefits the entire community. It took a great effort between the city, the Chamber of Commerce, and other groups. And if there's one landmark that captures the deep-seated values of the Santa Maria Valley, I believe it's the Freedom Monument Veterans Memorial, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And I just want to remind everyone of the December 7th ceremony at 10 a.m. at the Freedom Monument. 600 South McClellan, in front of the Abel Maldonado Community Youth Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cross.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, I can't add anything to that, except I would certainly be remiss if I didn't invoke the names of two former members of this body who were very, very strong supporters of the Freedom Monument. The mayor at that time was Joe Centeno. And of course, we know he just passed. Leo Trujillo passed many years ago. He was an avid, staunch supporter of the Freedom Monument. And Madam Mayor, as you know, you were on the council at that time. The other members of the council were Bob Orek and Larry Lavanino, and they were all just primary supporters and really lent their all to it. We couldn't have kept this pace that we have without the Recreation Parks, and Alex Posada was held that office at that time as well. So two others that have passed since the dedication were Joe Oliveira and Joe Sesto. Both of them lent their hearts and their soul and their money to the completion of the Freedom Monument. So we accept this award on behalf of all those who gave up their life in the service of the country, and those still serving, and those who gave a good part of their life to the safety and security of our country. So we thank you very much.
And I want to thank both of you gentlemen very much, because it's so important that we keep reminding our community that freedom is not free. And I thank you very much for doing this every year. The next item this evening is the proclamation, and Councilmember Cordero will be making the presentation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Is Susan Clark here? You are? Okay. Clark, okay. I got to tell you, Mayor, thank you very much. I appreciate being able to read this proclamation. I was actually a little disappointed that I wasn't originally scheduled to read it, because I have family members that are deeply involved with the Chumash tribe, and having lived here on the Central Coast all my life, I feel very close to it as a community. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to read this. So, the City of Santa Maria, California proclamation. Whereas the history and culture of our great nation have been significantly influenced by the American Indians and indigenous people, and whereas the contributions of American Indians have enhanced the freedom, prosperity, and greatness of America today, and whereas their customs, traditions are respected and celebrated as part of the rich legacy throughout the United States, and whereas Native American Awareness Week began in 1976, and recognition was expanded by Congress and approved by President George H. Bush in August of 1990, designating the month of November as National American Indian Heritage Month. Now, therefore, Alice Patino, Mayor for the City of Santa Maria, hereby recognizes the month of November 2021 as American Indian Heritage Month in the City of Santa Maria, and encourages all residents and businesses to observe this month and appreciate the program's ceremonies and activities. In witness hereof, and having set her hand to it, the Mayor and the City of Santa Maria, Alice Patino, and the seal of the great City of Santa Maria has been affixed on the 16th day of November 2021. And here to receive this is Susan.
Step forward to the microphone, please. Thank you very much, Councilman Cordero. I really appreciate it, and Madam Mayor and the council members. I just want to thank you so much. Can we get a photo op? Sure. Thank you so much. I'm here on behalf of the Captain Henry Sweetser chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. And we have an American Indians Committee that puts these things together. I think I've done this several years in the past and took a little break. But anyway, our committee is entrusted to the continuing education of the history and culture of this community, the Native American community, as well as the support of the educational and cultural pursuits of its citizens. The DAR members further our objectives by educating ourselves and the general public, promoting cultural activities, and providing financial and material assistance to the DAR-supported schools. We have a couple of different Native American schools that we support. And there's American Youth Summer Camps and various grants that we support as well. So we also have scholarships available to Native American students through our chapter and in our community. And anyway, we just want to thank you all for supporting this proclamation, and we'll see you again next year, hopefully. Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is the public comment period. Madam Clerk, would you please read the criteria for the public comment portion of the agenda?
This time is reserved to accept comments from the public on consent agenda items, closed session items, or matters not otherwise scheduled on the printed agenda this evening. Unless otherwise directed by the mayor, speakers will have 3 minutes to comment. Direction to staff may be given, however, state law does not allow action to be taken on matters not on the printed agenda. Once the public comment period commences, no other speakers will be allowed to submit a request to speak form. Madam Mayor, we received one written communication from Stephen Relf, co-listing agent for the Highway Drive-In Theater, indicating that he supports the city's planning staff recommendation to the Planning Commission to approve the land use map amendment and zone change for the Highway Drive-In Theater for People's Self-Help Housing to convert the property into affordable housing. And we have 4 requests to speak tonight.
Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, can you set the timer for 3 minutes? So I have Raymond Ayala, followed by Gary Hall, followed by Eileen Armijo. Good evening, Mr. Ayala.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Raymond Ayala. I live in the Rancho Buena Vista Mobile Estates. I moved here from Kern County on December 31st, so I'm fairly new to Santa Maria. Next year, my rent is going up a little bit more than $500 for the year. If things continue, the year after that, it'll be over $600. A third year, it'll be over $800 increase. I'm here to request that you consider the rent stabilization ordinance for the city of Santa Maria. Right now, I'm doing okay, but since things have opened up and we've had meetings and I've discovered some things, getting to know some of my neighbors, especially the ones that have lived here longer, that when they started, their rent was about half of what it is now. And their incomes also, being on fixed incomes, was much lower at that time than it is, than things are now. So they are really, really hurting. And they've expressed this to me, and I can understand, because the way things are going, in a few years, I'm going to be having to decide, well, obviously, in order to pay that rent, some of those meds that I'm taking, I'm either going to have to change or drop them completely to make those payments. Yes, when I moved here, I signed a lease. That lease agreement, I was told by the management, had been negotiated over a period of a couple of years by the city, by the management, the owners of the parks, and by the residents of Rancho Buena Vista. I didn't like the terms of the agreement, but there it is. I wanted to move here. I signed it. Now I've learned that some of those things weren't exactly presented to me the way things really were. So we are exercising our right to change some things. And this is one of the procedures that my neighbors have started and want to continue to get this ordinance at least on the agenda for open discussion, and to show the over 400 constituents that signed the petition wanting this ordinance to come about. So we would really appreciate your attention. And I mentioned I'm from Kern County. I'd be remiss if I didn't say the influence for being here and being active from my good friends Lloyd de Leon and Dolores Huerta. Si se puede.
Gary Hall, followed by Eileen Armijo, followed by Esther Jensen.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Gary Hall. I'm a resident of Rancho Buena Vista Mobile Estates at 2135 North Railroad Avenue here in Santa Maria. I represent the North Santa Barbara County Mobile Homeowners Team. A member of our team was on the City of Santa Maria website recently when she uncovered the vision and mission along with some guiding principles. I hope you all are familiar with them. The very first principle reads, enrich quality of life, promote a people-first approach, generate solutions that make living and working in the city easier, affordable, and desirable. We mobile home residents would like to see that principle followed by you, the City Council. We would like to see that people-first approach applies to us. We would like to see you demonstrate to us how we come first, not the mobile home park owner who doesn't even live in Santa Maria. We would like to see you demonstrate to us how the city is generating solutions that make mobile home living in Santa Maria more affordable. Thinking of formal yet voluntary and still not fully enforceable model lease that is filled with provisions favoring park owners will somehow meet our stated goals and the first guiding principle. Continues just to defy my imagination. The model lease is a failure, and the provisions of the enforcement agreement are insidious. We clearly believe your consideration of a mobile home rent stabilization ordinance could put us on a people-first path to housing affordability. After all, what's the worst that could happen if the RSO is added to the agenda? A fair and open debate might occur. A mobile home resident and their legal counsel might get to dispel park owners' rumors of negative outcome. The property rights of the mobile home owner might be viewed at least equal in property rights to the park owner who doesn't even live here. It is time to get the mobile home RSO on the city agenda. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you for your continued service. And please protect mobile home space affordability.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Next is Eileen Armijo, followed by Esther Jensen.
Madam Mayor, council members, my name is Eileen Armijo Encinas. I am a constituent and live in La Maria Senior Mobile Home Park. I'm here as an advocate asking you to protect Santa Maria mobile home residents, some retired and some low-income workers who need affordable housing. They have an investment as they have purchased the mobile home but leased the land. All the maintenance of the mobile home, the land lease is up to them. Why can't the property rights of mobile home owners be viewed as at least as equal to the mobile home park owners' property rights? The City Council needs to place on the agenda a rent stabilization ordinance. This would allow for reasonable rent increases with a fair return on park owners' investment and would also be enforceable, which the model lease is not. Why is Santa Maria unable to respond to calls for an RSO in support of a mobile home residents like other cities and counties around us? Please place on the agenda to support the residents and park owners equally. Our park owners are not residents of Santa Maria. They live in LA and they are an LLC. They've never offered the model lease. We're an investment, and that's all they care about is their profits. We weren't considered in the meetings. The lawyer who handled the meetings with the city, I was there. She controlled the meetings. We did not. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Armijo. Esther Jensen?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I'm Esther Jensen, a resident at La Maria on South Thornburg Street. I'm here again tonight because I'm committed to improve the affordability of mobile home living at La Maria and all over Santa Maria. I want you to hear my appeal and the comments of all who favor true mobile home enforcement rent stabilization. The mobile home rent stabilization ordinance will help ensure La Maria residents a place to live that we can afford. A mobile home rent stabilization ordinance should be put on the agenda. We need your help to protect mobile home space affordability. We need your help now, not years from now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jensen. This concludes the public comment portion of the agenda. Before we move on, Mr. Stillway, any comments? Okay. Moving on to the consent calendar, Madam Clerk, could you please read item number 3?
Yes, Madam Mayor, but before I do, I just wanted to announce that while Councilmember Escobedo is not present, he is watching the meeting, so
Okay.
he just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of that.
Thank you.
Routine items are presented for City Council approval without discussion as a single agenda item in order to expedite the meeting. The consent calendar is approved by roll call vote with one motion. These items are discussed only on the request of council members.
Okay, does anyone have items they wish to pull for discussion?
No, Madam Mayor, so I'd like to adopt the consent calendar as submitted.
Do I have a second?
Sure, I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Waterfield?
Aye.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Madam Mayor Patino?
Aye. Next, we have a presentation. Madam Clerk, could you please read the title?
The City Council will receive a presentation from Superintendent Antonio Garcia and Dr. Paul Robinson, Director of the Career Technical Education at Santa Maria Joint Union High School District regarding its college and career-ready efforts and new Career Technical Education Center and programs across the district.
And Mr. Stillwell, would you like to do the introductions?
Just a very brief introduction. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. We're really proud to have the new Career Technical Education facility up on the southeast side of town. There was an opening, or a walk-through grand opening last week. It's a great opportunity for the community to learn more about this. And so we're pleased tonight to have Antonio Garcia, the superintendent, and Dr. Paul Robinson, the director of the CTE, to be here tonight to highlight what the facility does and what the students will benefit from. So thank you.
Thank you, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor Patino, City Council members, and staff. Thank you for the invitation to address the council this evening. I want to start off with our vision for the Santa Maria Joint Union High School District, which is every student succeeds and is prepared for college, career, and life. Fulfilling our district vision includes ensuring multiple options for our high school graduates. And career technical education is one doorway to both college and career. So state priorities have increasingly shifted to include career preparedness along with college readiness. Long gone are the days when those two options were independent from each other. Our CTE programs focus on providing high-quality opportunities for student engagement and learning that leads to college credit, job preparedness, and authentic industry certifications. These diverse opportunities would not be possible without community and industry partnerships and support. And we're very thankful for those partnerships and for that support. From access to coursework from Allen Hancock College to training aids from Freightliner Benz, we have been blessed with much local support. The amazing facilities that we've built for our students, like those we present to you tonight, are due to the generous support of our tax-paying residents, funding bond measures. The latest is Measure H in 2016. The academic preparation of our students is truly a collective effort. Leading this effort in our district is Mr. John Davis, who is our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction. And also with us today is Dr. Paul Robinson, our Director of Career Technical Education, who's going to provide you with information about our CTE programs across the district and hone in on the newest programs and facilities. The Career Technical Education Center and Agricultural Farm that was just mentioned, that just opened this fall. So I'm going to pass the time over to Dr. Robinson at this time.
Thank you, sir, and good evening, Mayor Patino and council members. Again, I am very honored to be here presenting what we are able to provide for our community to you guys tonight. I'm going to start off with a big picture overview of our Career Technical Education, or CTE, that we do district-wide, and then as Superintendent Garcia said, we'll narrow into the center. We offer 60 pathways instructed by 41 teachers, serving about 3,600 students as of our last reporting to the state. Those pathways are each a 2-year pathway, so typically a student will take an introduction course and then an advanced course. So for example, in culinary arts, they take culinary 1 and culinary 2. In some cases, those are condensed into 1 year, which is what we do at the CTE Center, and I'll talk more about that in a second. Students served by those pathways are remarkably close in terms of male-female apportionment. We've got about 47% female and about 53% male. When you compare us to counterpart programs throughout the state and the nation, that's pretty good. The classic trend of being a little more male in CTE is still fairly prevalent, so we're pretty proud of that diversity. We have 41 different types of industry credentials that were earned in 1920, our last reporting year, and those tend to grow every year as we hone in on new pathways and programs and talk with our industry partners about what we can provide students that actually pays dividends in the workforce and when they walk through the doors of our industry partners. We have 4 active career technical service organizations that serve our students and that help make those pathways robust educational opportunities for our youngsters. Many of you probably know of Future Farmers of America, or FFA, and Future Business Leaders of America, FBLA. Those have been around for a long time. With the help of our union, we've negotiated new stipends to include our Family Consumer Science pathway under FCCLA and our industrial arts programs under Skills USA. Like FFA and FBLA, those 2 organizations help give our students opportunities to compete in both speaking competitions and judging competitions. They also provide our students leadership and leadership groups that serve that particular CTSO. So those students get a very diverse experience through those CTSOs that helps round out their educational career. Those 60 pathways are in 14 industry sectors, so they're everything from agriculture, information technology, all the way through engineering, hospitality, and arts and media. You see the graphic before you. We don't have every pathway represented at every school because we're restricted by teacher licensing and credentialing and then what facilities are available. So on the top left, you see our agriculture and natural resources pathway. We have something from ag in every school. And then on the top right, for example, on the other end of the spectrum, you see residential construction. That is only offered at our CTE Center. That requires specialized equipment, a specialized shop, and it would be cost prohibitive and resource prohibitive to provide that at every school. So we provide that in a centralized setting. That brings us to our CTE Center and Agricultural Farm. We just opened up classes this year. Students first started attending in August. We did have some students there from the FFA program housing their animals for fair from about March on. It's made up of 3 different buildings, essentially, or areas. We have 2 shop buildings that house 4 shop classes of about 4,000 square feet, so they're large spaces. Currently, we have construction and machining going on this year, and we're adding diesel next year. And then we have a 4th shop that's to be determined. We have a culinary arts building that houses 2 classrooms and a full state-of-the-art culinary kitchen. I'll show you pictures of these in a second. And then we have an agricultural barn with a teaching platform and 59 animal pens. This is an amazing step forward in terms of equity and access for our students in the community. We live in a very supportive community. We can always find a farmer or a rancher or a landowner to help a student house a fair animal. But if you're a student on the north end of town and I find you a place out in Sisquoc or on the south end of town and you don't drive, for obvious reasons, that's complicated. This centralizes some of those resources and allows us to provide even more opportunities for our students in conjunction with what the community already provides. We also have 12 acres that we put under production. We grew about 3,000 pumpkins between May and October of this year. Students from all 3 FFA programs helped plant, they helped tend, and they helped harvest all of those pumpkins and take them back to their school sites for distribution as the site saw fit. And then we shared some with Delta that doesn't have an FFA program in the district office. So we were pretty proud of that, and it's a lot of fun to see all of the students from the various high schools come together and go out there and get their hands in the dirt and tend to plants and then see the harvesting of that. This is some pictures of the center. So on the top left, this is what students see as they arrive via bus. We have 2 shop buildings flanking a breezeway where students can finish their morning meal if they haven't finished it prior to getting to the site, or where they can take a break in between classes waiting for the bus. We have 2 shops on the left and 2 shops on the right. Top right shows you the view going into the center if you haven't been there, and then right below that is the office and culinary building. Bottom left shows you the barn I was talking about. It is definitely one of the premier high school barns in the state, and it's definitely the premier barn in our region. We're very proud of it and the opportunities it helps provide for our students. There's also a locker room in there for all of our students, so any of our FFA kids that are housing animals there have a place to lock up their personal tack, their boots, etc., so that they have a personal space within that broader space to work with. And then there's another view of the shop buildings on the bottom right. This collection of pictures shows you some of the interior spaces. Our machine shop is on the top left. We're very proud of this. There's a lot of not only thought that went into this design, but there's a lot of collaboration with our industry partners. One of our early design had some small but a lot of CNC machines. We took that to our industry partners, to our Hancock partners, and to our Cal Poly partners, and what we heard was you need to incorporate manual machining and you need to put bigger CNC machines in, because that's what they're going to see in industry. So that's the type of industry partnership and higher ed partnership we're looking at every shop space here. That's one example of quite a few I could give you. But we went back to our architect, we redesigned the space, so now we have 7 manual mills, 7 manual lathes. Students learn how to do that manual machine process. That was very important to our industry partners. And they learn how to design it in a computer lab, that's on the bottom right, and then they learn how to program and run automated CNC programs in our CNC machines. On the top right, you see a classroom space. It's very modern. That leads into the culinary kitchen, which is on the bottom left. If you've been in a traditional high school kitchen, it tends to be a very small reproduction of a home kitchen. This is very different. This is meant to represent a back-end operation of a catering facility or a banquet hall or a large hotel like a Marriott or a Hilton. Students get experience with cold serving lines, hot serving lines, with combination ovens, deep fryers, and then a full-on sanitation station that is health department approved, so they get to go through a commercial wash, 3-sink sanitation and storage. So they learn all the various aspects of a commercial kitchen. In the middle, you see some of our equipment. We have some serious heavy equipment out there that our construction class uses, a backhoe, a skid steer, and a mini excavator. To see a kid's face light up when they get on that equipment and get to go out and use it is pretty fun. It's also a good time to mention that culinary kitchen and all of those machines were grant funded. We had some excellent grant writers in the district over the last few years that helped us to tap into a lot of state monies to help provide this funding along with those various bond measures. The programmatic structure at the CTE Center in particular, we serve all 4 high schools, so kids from all high schools are bused in. They're bused there to take a 2-period class, and then they're bused back. So in the typical high school setting, a kid will take 6 classes a day. If they're a CTE Center student, 2 of those are going to be spent with us in either a morning class, a midday class, or an afternoon class. That block of time gives us 100 minutes. That's critical for a lab and a shop environment, so teachers have enough time to set up, get through their actual activity, and then tear all that down and clean up and get kids on the bus in time. It also allows us to hit a 300-hour mark, which is critical with the California Department of Education, so that our students can be what we call a pathway completer. So they can complete a pathway, they can get their, in many cases, their Hancock credit because it's a concurrent enrollment course, and then they can earn their industry certificate. So that's sort of our goal for each shop. Again, we started off with construction and machining this year, and we'll add 1 or 2 shops each year till we reach full build-out. Continuing with our vision, we would like all of our students to be CTE completers. Again, as Superintendent Garcia said, it's college and career, it's not college or career. So we're working hard to bring that fusion to the CTE Center. We would like all of those classes to be concurrent enrollment with Allen Hancock College. That partnership has borne a lot of fruit over the last few years. We've continually expanded our concurrent enrollment classes. And what that means is our kids are walking away with transferable credit. So whether they're a junior college-bound student, a university-bound student, or a student going straight into the world of work, they're able to take that high-quality instruction and carry it forward with them and take the next course in the sequence if they're going to Allen Hancock College, or they're transferring those units if they're going to a university like Cal Poly or somewhere else. If they're going straight out into the world of work, they're going to benefit from that high-quality education and from those industry certificates they earn in those shops. Along with that partnership with Allen Hancock, we have some budding and very promising partnerships with our local industry. QuinCat on our north end of town in Santa Maria Truck Center, which is a Freightliner Mercedes-Benz dealer, have both teamed up to help look at our diesel shop and see what they can do to help us, whether it was selling us low-cost training aids through Freightliner Benz, or both of them have offered our students to be able to get in and work on their proprietary training program. So after a student is done with the class time curriculum, either after class or in class if they have time, they can go on and they can work on that particular company's training program to get a head start on the hiring process. So if we go take a tour of QuinCat and a kid says, hey, I like that earth moving business, that's really cool, I want to be part of that, they can jump in there and get a head start. If they go take a tour of the Freightliner Benz dealer at Santa Maria Truck Center and they say, hey, the over-the-road trucking industry is for me, then they're going to go ahead and explore that. Those partnerships also allow us to show what else is in the industry. So it's not just a diesel mechanic, but there's also parts pickers that are starting at well over $20 an hour with full benefits. It's also the place where you have the most women in the industry right now. It's also various forms of sales and service and auto body. So it allows, those industry partners allow us to display for our students all the various opportunities that exist within those industries when we take them on those tours. Our industry certifications, we do OSHA 10 for every one of our shops, so kids are safety-wise, tool-wise, and they know how to orientate themselves in environments that can be inherently dangerous. You're working around heavy equipment, you're working around lifts, you're working around machines that can do irreparable damage. We stress that very much and we certify them in safety. In our machine shop, they'll get Haas certification, which is the industry standard for those machines, and they'll get SolidWorks, which is the design program. So they'll get a machining certificate and a design certificate. In construction, they'll choose one trade and get an NCCER certification. Diesel will be ASE and HVAC. And then in our culinary kitchen, they'll get a food handler's permit and a management certificate called a Safe Serve certificate that goes over a lot of sanitation. Again, in our machine shop, this gives you a basic overview. Students come out of that course with 3 Allen Hancock classes under their belt. So they can go to Hancock and take the next course in the sequence, or if they're a university-bound student, what we typically find is that's probably an engineering student. Not only do those courses transfer with them because they're transferable units, but an engineering student is going to start out taking a basic machine course, not because you're training to be a machinist, but because you have to design things that are machinable. So that's going to take that hard first year of college and make it even easier because they're working on the same machines up at Cal Poly that they've been working on here, or if they go to Hancock, they'll be continuing on the same machines. In our construction shop, our goal is to give a broad overview of all the major trades, so HVAC, plumbing, electrical, framing, siding, roofing. We can't really take and make an apprentice or a journeyman. We don't have the time, and that would force us to narrow it down to one particular job field or trade. We don't really want to do that. We feel if a kid at 16, 17, or 18 goes through our program and says, you know, I really like that electrical stuff, I can do that. Or, you know what, that electrical stuff scares the heck out of me, I'm going to go over here because I like plumbing. Those are all good in-runs for our students. If they're deciding that in their late teens instead of their late 20s, that's a great accomplishment for us. It also allows us to expose them to all the major trades, along with some project management, project estimation, and heavy equipment operations. So they're getting quite the exposure in there. They start off doing tabletop curriculum, and then they move into a tiny house as our culminating project at the end of the year, where they bring all of those trades together into a functioning house or tiny house. For next year, 22-23, we'll be bringing our culinary class on, like our machine shop class, assuming we can hire a qualified candidate that Alan Hancock can put their name on. We'll have 3 Hancock classes out of that program as well. Our diesel shop, I'm sitting down with them in 2 weeks to talk about making it a concurrent enrollment class for Auto 100. So that ongoing relationship is paying a lot of dividends for our students, and we'll probably see our diesel class have some level of concurrent enrollment as well. At this time, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Madam Mayor and City Council, thanks again for the opportunity to come in and present our CTE Center. I'm just going to end things tonight by saying that so much of what you've heard and seen tonight was the result of the vision and passion of Dr. Mark Richardson. I think many of you know Dr. Richardson passed away tragically yesterday, and I don't want to eulogize him at the City Council, but I do want to say that this CTE Center was a particular passion of Dr. Richardson's. I know many of you in the room knew Dr. Richardson. I don't want to say he was obsessed with the CTE Center, but maybe just a little bit short of an obsession for him during his 7 years here. I believe that if you asked him, he would say in a career full of a lot of accomplishments and achievements that this was the capstone for him. So I just want to take the opportunity, I know not all of the City Council or related staff have had an opportunity to get up to the CTE Center and see it with students in the shops. It's quite an operation. I think it says a lot about our community that we were able to provide this facility for our students, and I think the future is really bright. So I just want to extend that opportunity to any of you that would like to come visit. Let Dr. Robinson and his staff know, and we'll roll the red carpet out and give you guys some tours, and I think you'll really like what you see. So thanks again. Appreciate this.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, Mr. Cordero has questions.
The question probably goes to Dr. Robinson. If we have a community partner, I can't tell you how excited I am about being there with you last week. Everybody I talk to, then now is like, have you heard about this? Have you heard about that? Just, what the CTE is offering. So if a community partner wants to talk about some sort of a relationship or partnership, who do they contact you?
Yeah, send him my way. I'd be happy to talk to him.
And you want to pass your phone number or business card to somebody, or?
So I just handed out some folders, and my business card's in there, and I'd be happy to give you some more before I go. I'll pass them that way. Yeah.
Okay, because there's a couple. I got to share with you that while I'm listening to all of this, last week, I'm thinking the one that should get involved in this thing is the diesel tractor trailer people over on Stowe Road, and I'm excited, and then you guys blew me out of the water by saying we already did that.
Yeah.
I just think it's fantastic. And the quick figures for me, if your curriculum is successful in saving only one student a year, in the course of the 10 years, you'll be well into the millions of dollars, or that they're going to not utilize for other public resources, like court, probation, jail, these kinds of things. Instead, they'll be paying taxes so that they can help support other things in the community. And that is a true leadership effort that is going to go on and be lived in our community for a long time. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Waterfield.
Yes, I'm very impressed with this program, and I concur with my fellow mate, Mike. And, this is great because what we need to do now, and is what you're well into doing, is instead of, giving the fish, you're teaching them how to fish, which is something that is very important, especially for someone's self-esteem, to be able to get out there and make a great living on their own, but they're creating something in the process. And, just thank you, kudos to each and every one of you, and I appreciate what you're doing for this community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Garcia, excuse me, Dr. Garcia, I don't want to leave you off. Your presentation last week was outstanding also, as was Mark's. Thank you very, very much for what you've done today for the youth and the community. Thank you.
You know, well, when I was out there last week, and it was very, very impressive, I was out there for the groundbreaking, and Mr. Garcia, you weren't here for that, but I was out there for the groundbreaking, and just to see what it has grown to, and this gym out here in our community, and how the kids are going to benefit from this. I wanted to ask you, though, Dr. Robinson, what about, are you connected with the trades unions with your kids?
Yeah, so as we were setting up the facility and working into this year, I've talked with all of our major trade unions. We did actually look at their curriculum, but we went with a different curriculum for lack of a long explanation. But yes, we do plan on, one of the tours we plan on doing with the construction program is tours of your local union hall. And talking to them about what joining a union hall looks like, going over and doing a tour with one of our private contractors. We happen to have a site with construction going on, so that makes that easy, right? And then helping kids understand the difference between that. I think a lot of us I certainly didn't know where my local union hall was, and my dad was a drywaller and taper by trade, so that tells you something, right? So giving access to that knowledge is a big core part of our purpose with that program, so that they understand what a union job looks like and what the retirement there and the benefits. So we will be doing tours of all the union houses, and we have hooked up with them, yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Garcia, Mr. Davis, and Dr. Robinson. And I'm sure there's people out here who watch our city council meeting, and I'm sure we're going to be getting a lot of phone calls, so we'll certainly direct them your way. But thank you very much, and thank you for what you're doing for the kids in our community. Mr. Stillwell, did you have any comments? Okay. Next, we have a public hearing. Madam Clerk, could you please read the title?
The City Council will conduct a public hearing and consider approving the issuance of revenue bonds by the California State Communities Development Authority not to exceed $50 million for the benefit of Centennial Gardens.
Staff report is to be made by the Director of Finance, Ms. Harvey.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members, staff, and the public. We are here this evening to conduct a public hearing pursuant to the Federal Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act, or TEFRA. TEFRA requires that a public hearing be held by the governing body of the jurisdiction in which a project to be financed is located, and that the governing body approve the proposed financing. The California Statewide Communities Development Authority, CSCDA, is a joint powers authority founded and sponsored by the League of California Cities. The California State Association of Counties, CSAC, the CSCDA was created by the League and CSAC in 1988 to enable local government and eligible private entities access to low-cost, tax-exempt financing for projects that provide a tangible public benefit, contribute to social and economic growth, and improve the overall quality of life in local communities throughout California. Centennial Gardens LP proposes to obtain tax-exempt financing in an amount not to exceed $50 million to finance the acquisition, construction, and development of a 160-unit multifamily rental housing project to be owned and operated by the borrower and located at South Depot Street and West Battles Road within the city of Santa Maria. The debt to be issued by the CSCDA will be the sole responsibility of Centennial Gardens LP, and the city will have no financial or legal obligations or responsibilities with regard to the repayment of the debt. All financing documents will carry disclaimers that the loan is not an obligation of the city. The city will also bear no costs in the issuance of the proposed debt. This is a private loan with the borrower and their bank. It is recommended that the City Council adopt a resolution approving the issuance of bonds by the CSCDA for the benefit of Centennial Gardens LP. Such adoption is solely for the purposes of satisfying the requirements of TEFRA, the code, and the California Government Code, Section 6500. Representatives of Centennial Gardens LP, Jennifer Rice and Paul Fortino, and John Penkauer of the CSCDA are on the phone and available for questions from the City Council and the public about the project and the financing if needed.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the council?
No, ma'am.
None? Okay, I'll open up the public hearing. Madam Clerk, do we have any written correspondence or requests to speak?
No, Madam Mayor, council members, we have no written communications or requests to speak.
Okay, I'd like to close the public hearing and bring this back to the council for discussion and a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to recommend that we adopt a resolution approving the issuance of revenue bonds by the California Statewide Communities Development Authority to provide financing for the acquisition, construction, and development of a 160-unit multifamily rental housing project generally known as Centennial Gardens Apartment.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Waterfield?
Aye.
Councilmember Cordero?
Aye.
Madam Mayor Patino?
Aye. Next item will be a report by City Manager, Mr. Stillwell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. The next meeting of the City Council is December 7th. We have a few items of note for that upcoming meeting. One is we don't look forward to the retirement, but we look forward to the resolution celebrating the career of Fire Engineer Victor Gutierrez. We are going to start our Business of the Month recognition with the Chamber of Commerce, and so they'll be presenting a Business of the Month. We have an update to our transit plan. We'll be bringing recommended changes to the short-range transit plan for Santa Maria Area Transit. And we plan to present the Police Department strategic plan. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. So reports from the council, Mr. Cordero.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to report that on the 4th of the month, I attended the philanthropy celebration out at the golf course. It was very well attended. It was very positive. It was an opportunity to recognize some fine people in the community, particularly those, and also those people that were not able to recognize last year because of the pandemic. On the 10th, I was at the grand opening for the CTE that we just heard on earlier, and there was a common theme there. I've heard you say the same thing about Measure U. I've heard Mayor Lavanino say the same or similar things about it, and I've heard several of the council members at this dais say things, as well as the two different city managers now, and that is the appreciation to the public for the support of Measure H for the high school and Measure U for the city, and that is a true investment on the part of our citizens to our very own future here in the community. And that was an outstanding opportunity to go out and work and participate with the grand opening out there. That was really something to see. And then today, this afternoon, I attended a kind of a meet and greet kind of thing out at the building of the Santa Barbara Foundation, but it was actually for Communify that used to be called CAC. And it was just kind of a meet. This is who we are. We want you to know where we're coming from. There was a lot of discussion there about the 211 system and things that they do in order to serve some of the underserved in the community. And that's it for me, Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Waterfield? Okay, let's see. On November 3rd, I did the quarterly schools meeting. I did empty bowls. Wasn't sure how that was going to be because it was a sort of a drive-through. So they just put me directing traffic and directing the cars through. On the 4th of November, I did Celebrate Philanthropy, where we honored John Will and Tim Murphy. And that afternoon, I did the new housing laws, programs, and funding webinar. On November 8, I met with the teen council meetings at both Pioneer and Santa Rosa High School. And then I had a meeting with the senior club meeting at from one of our community halls. On November 9th, I went to Pioneer Valley High School. It was raining, it was pouring that day for a government class, and spoke to an 8:30, a 9:30, a 10:30, and there were several classes in each. I spoke to during that morning. And let's see, and then on November 10th, I attended the Career Tech Education Grand Opening. And let's see, and on the 11th of November, Ms. Waterfield and I did the flag ceremony at the cemetery for the Veterans Memorial. And then later, I went over to the Elks where Michael Clayton was putting on, where the Elks were barbecuing tri-tip, and that also was a drive-through. I guess next year it won't be a drive-through. He's planning on serving again. And I really want to thank Michael Clayton and his whole family comes out for that. And I went inside, and all the Elks members are helping. I went out to the barbecue pit. And I'm really proud to say that one of our retired city employees was there. Another couple of our city employees were there helping out. And so I'm just really glad that this whole community gets together. November 12th, intended Fighting Back Santa Maria Valley Board meeting. November 15th, I went to Bill Libben's school and spoke to students, Mr. Kenji Matsuka, and they call him Mr. M. And they had put up signs. They had recognized the funeral of our past mayor, Joe Centeno. And then I stayed there speaking to them because they were asking me different questions. He told them that they couldn't ask me how old I was. That was the only thing. So they didn't. But they asked me everything else. And November 15th, did the Ben Hayes Show and went out to the Santa Barbara Foundation for the Communify event. And this evening, I would certainly like to adjourn the meeting in honor of Mark Richardson, who was the previous superintendent of the Santa Maria Joint Union High School District. Very involved in our community in many ways. He was on Fighting Back Santa Maria Valley with me. And I would meet with him monthly when the school superintendents would meet. But, and he did give a nice talk at the, when we got together for the community tech ribbon cutting last week. And it just seemed like he was, it's really sad. He looked great. I said, you look 10 years younger since you've retired as a superintendent. And there was just an awful lot of people there to congratulate him also, and he was there too. That was his baby, and that to see it through. But anyway, I'd like to adjourn tonight's meeting in the honor of Dr. Mark Richardson. Ms. Merding. Yes, Mr. Stillwell?
That concludes the regular meeting, but we do want to, council would reconvene to closed session.
So now the council will recess to the closed session. Did
you want me to reread the title?
Yes, please.
A conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Section 54956